Hello, my name is Kerrioth, and today I've got a nice little treat for you. I feel weird. I'm without my headphones. They broke yesterday, and I have no spare headphones at work. It is crushing me. What are you supposed to do at a PC without headphones? It's devastating. Anyway, we've got a nice little treat for you, and that is the possibility, at least, of Sly Marbo's rules. So, this is from the Warhammer 40k subreddit, from a chap called Corin Avitan. Now, normally with this kind of thing, especially when there's no image to accompany it, when it's just, I saw this thing, this is what it is, I don't tend to pick up on those so much. At least I read them, but I don't tend to report them widely or make them known too much, because quite often it's very blatant wish listy type things. Like in the build up to the Dark Angels, there was all sorts of rumours going around and all sorts of, abilities that they'd have. And a lot of them were just blatantly like, wouldn't it be cool if they had that? And it's like, yes, it would also be massively unbalanced, but I guess it would be cool. Now, this seems absolutely completely reasonable for a start. It's fully explained, and all of this stuff fits the character. This seems to be the real deal. There's no photographic evidence, but to be honest, it fits so well, and it seems so likely, and it's so unlike the wish lists that you see as we get closer to the release of, codexes or characters, that I think it's worth taking a look. And, well, I'll hand it over to you guys. There'll be a link in the description where you can find the thread. I think this is not only reasonable, but completely likely. In fact, I would be surprised if these weren't the actual rules for Sly Marbo. So, let's get straight into it. Of course, today's video will be filled with cuts once again, because I'm still ill and I hate it. Anyway, let's get into it. So, Sly Marbo. He is an HQ, unsurprisingly, power level 4, has the keywords Catachan, Astra Militarum, Astra Imperium, and Sly Marbo. His stats, which are one of the things that is kind of tipping me off as to this being genuine, are very reasonable, they're very sensible. Strength 3, Toughness 3, 5+ save, 2+ for weapon skill and ballistic skill, 4 wounds, cannot take warlord trait or take orders. Now that to me seems absolutely reasonable. Sly Marbo is a lone wolf. He is not going to be the warlord for your army. That is not what he's about. So that seems pretty legit to me. 3-shot pistol that always wounds infantry on a 2. No AP. Again, that seems reasonable. And 4 attacks. Knife always wounds on a 2 against infantry. So an anti-infantry character. 3-shot pistol, again, fits at least what we've seen on the model, because he's got that sort of weird, like Uzi type thing that is straight out of is it Escape from New York or Escape from LA that he's got that gun. And of course he's got his manly knife. So you can set him up for deep strike, and when he comes in, pick one of 3 options. Just realised I'm moving about a load, I apologise. Shoot a unit, ignoring the character rule until the next turn. The rule calls out that he specifically shoots when he arrives and can then shoot again during the actual shooting phase. I quite like that. That's a nice little ambush move, so he can show up, fire off a bunch of shots, and then when it comes to the shooting phase, fire again. I like that. Surprise attack. Surprise attack's always good. Again, it fits perfectly well. It doesn't seem to be particularly kind of overpowered or anything. I mean, yes, it does wound on a 2+, but it's no AP, so that seems fair. That seems reasonable. There's also Stalk with Knife, which is roll a d6 and move that many inches and gain +2 attacks until the start of the next movement phase. So, kind of similar in a way, except very much geared towards close combat. And again, that seems reasonable to me. That seems perfectly sensible. Doesn't seem particularly overpowered or particularly wish listy. It just seems accurate, this stuff, which I like. I like it when we see stuff like this that actually is in the realm of possibility. Then we have Concealed Explosives, where you pick a unit, roll a d6, add 1 if the unit has more than 10 models, -1 if it's a character, on a 4+ d3 mortal wounds, 7+ d6 mortal wounds. Again, I quite like that. There seems to be a higher chance of... Well, no, that's not really fair, is it? It's mortal wounds, which is obviously preferable if you can get them, but it does seem to have a little bit more of a risk to it, because with the other 2, it's wounds on a 2+ against infantry. So you're more likely to get your 3 shots hitting something than you are cause D3 mortal wounds, because you're more likely to cause D3 mortal wounds than cause D6 mortal wounds. It's a nice fun ability, that nice and fluffy, nice and cool, dropping in just lobbing a bunch of explosives at a unit. I feel like it does have a nice kind of feel to it in terms of character assassination. A character assassination, that's not the same thing. Killing a character on tabletop and character assassination are two different concepts entirely, because character assassination is where you make someone out to be awful. But you get the idea. Going after a character is kind of cool, it is kind of funky, but it does seem that you do have much more of a chance of success if you go for a large blobby unit, which of course you would expect if you're chucking explosives at something. I think there seems to be value in doing either. Personally, I would probably end up going for the unit of 10 more than I would the character, to be honest. That's just me though. It depends. It also depends on what game type you're playing, whether you're attempting to get him onto an objective, who's closest when you actually dump him out of deep strike. So it's situational, but I do like that. Again, it seems reasonable. It doesn't seem completely out there, doesn't seem completely out of left field. Finally, we have fighting a shadow, which is a once per battle by the look of it. It's not entirely clear, that bit, but it appears to be once per battle. At the beginning of your movement phase, if there's no enemy within 6 inches, Marbo goes back into deep strike and can be redeployed the next turn. Doing that procs his sort of, as they say, show up ability again. So whichever option you pick in terms of when he comes out of deep strike, be it shooting a unit, stalking a unit, or throwing explosives at them, that procs a second time once you bring him from reserves. But you can only put him back into reserves once per battle, so you can't do it over and over again. You kind of get the chance to, it looks like you get the chance to sort of have him show up, do something cool, and then maybe a turn or two later you might be able to get him to drop out of combat again, disappear, and then show up a second time for some bonus surprise action. Again, I quite like that. The fact it's once per battle is fairly convincing, and it does leave room for some funky stuff, some interesting things to happen. Now, I'm not sure what the points value of Sly Marbo will be. It doesn't say. You could probably take a guess by looking at the power level of power level 4 and seeing what else is in that category, although obviously it does vary a little bit. But overall, I'm pretty convinced by this, to be honest. I think it seems reasonable. I think it seems fairly accurate to the character, and the stuff that's in there doesn't strike me as being particularly wish listy. He does look like a fun character. Like if these are the accurate rules for Sly Marbo, then Sly Marbo looks to be pretty interesting, pretty fun. Maybe not a character that I would kind of consider to be essential, though I suppose it depends on how you've built your army, but there's stuff in there that I really like and that I think could be very useful. But being toughness 3 and a 5+ save, he's not going to be particularly hardy. Then again, does he really need to be? If his big impact is dropping in, smashing a unit or a character, and then dropping out again to do the same thing one more time, does he need to be particularly hardy? And would it kind of undermine the point that, well, it's Sly Marbo and he's a guardsman, and yes, he's a complete badass if he was particularly hardy? I think it's reasonable. The stat line they've gone for. So yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it quite a lot. I really hope this turns out to be accurate. It does seem to be completely reasonable, as I keep saying over and over again. Oh, look, I'm ill. My brain's all over the place. Oh, sorry, one other thing. Marbo gets a +2 in cover instead of +1 because he's Sly Marbo. It looks good. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to painting him, to be honest, more than anything. I mean, Sly Marbo's quality and the sculpt is badass, so it is going to be a lot of fun to paint that. And honestly, based on these rules, I can see myself taking him in games just for the fun factor more than anything. It's just a cool set of rules overall. Hopefully, it turns out to be accurate. Anyway, that is Sly Marbo. Hopefully, the rules for. As I say, there's a link in the description to the thread where the guy gives the information. Let me know what you think. Does it sound right? Does it sound correct? Does it sound a bit out there, a bit out of left field? Or do you think that this is in fact what we'll see when the guy is released? let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I apologise for the multiple cuts and so on, but I mean, listen to me, I sound awful. I will see you for the next... Oh, there's the usual stuff to click. You know, Patreon, subscribe videos, all of that garbage. Click it if you like. Don't have to. It's entirely up to you. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you for the next one. Toodaloo.